So has the Portland real estate market finally started to level off, or is this just sellers taking a little bit of a hiatus? I'm Ron Milligan with RE/MAX Select here not in Portland's Pearl District, but visiting my folks in Helena, Montana. But all the same, I've got the latest real estate statistics for the Portland metro area, including Portland and Southwest Washington. First thing up is the number of active listings. You can see here that the number of active listings did inch up. We went from 5416 to 5488, which is up 1.3%, a real minimal increase. And it is still lower than the high that we had about 2 weeks ago with 5503. The reason for that was the number of new listings was up slightly versus last week. Last week that number was way down, so we did see that number inch up. But when we're comparing the number of active listings this year to last year, the number is declining. So we've had 59.9% increase this year versus last year a couple weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, that was 58%. This week, it's 57.4%. So we are inching back from the high that we experienced about 3 weeks ago in the number of active listings. And the reason for that is the number of active listings last year at this time was also increasing. I remember talking to our clients last year saying, hey, there's going to be an opportunity in July and August of 2021, just with folks going out of time. It's usually kind of a sleepier time of our market, and some sellers might have been a little bit nervous about the activity that they were seeing when their properties hit the market. Same thing is happening this year. So the number of pending deals is still pretty strong. We were down from that high that we experienced a couple weeks ago, 812, down to 764, but you can see here that we're somewhere in the range of kind of what this new normal is over the last 8 weeks or so. So buyer demand is still staying strong. It's not as strong as it was last year. Last year that number was, I'm looking for the number, 1,002 last year. So last year was certainly stronger, but that number was also down from the previous week. Just what we're experiencing as we headed into the dog days of summer. The number of closed deals was down versus the previous week, so we were at 519, and you can see here that number is down from where we were last week. Last year, when I checked my notes for where we were last year, roughly the same time period, that was 698, and that was down from 895 the previous week. Keep in mind that what we're looking at right now for this week are likely deals that went under contract somewhere around the 4th of July. We're here at the beginning of August. We're looking at numbers from the previous week. So it's not a big surprise that fewer deals went under contract around 4th of July holidays as everyone's on vacation. So we're closing fewer. If that number stays lower the next week and the week after then that might be a new trend that we'll be looking at. So we'll be keeping an eye on those couple of numbers. The number of price reductions was down for about the 4th straight week now. It was down to 755, and of those 755 that did price reductions, 697 of them were still active, and only 58% of them went under contract, which says that sellers are still looking for that right point where properties are selling. A lot of sellers are still struggling with that. The days on market did go down from the previous week. The previous week they were rather high. The average days on market went from 21 to 18, and the median went from 10 to 8. Last year, for roughly the same time period, the average was 17 and the median was 6. So that did come down a little bit, but I suspect that we're going to see that number continue to rise. That might be just a little bit of a blip there. The difference in the average sale price did increase versus last week, which is a little bit of a surprise. Average sale price came in at 626,002 versus last year, roughly the same time, 572,489. That's a 9.4% increase in the average sale price for roughly the same week last year versus this year. The median only came up about 6.5%. Volatile number, we'll see where that number lands. And generally, it's just the number over the period of the month. How it averages out is what we want to look at, to give us more of a solid idea of what that number is. On average, sellers got 99.15% of their original asking price, when the property finally did sell, and that's compared to last year. It was 101.78%. So down from last year, but still a respectable number for sellers in a normal market. So where does that leave us? What are we looking forward to going through next week and probably the couple of weeks after that, as we wrap up August? Is probably fewer or not as many new listings hitting the market, and I suspect that we're going to continue to see relatively steady buyer demand. I think a lot of buyers have realized that interest rates aren't as bad as they had been. When people were very excited about interest rates hitting 6% and what that did to buyers' buying power. I checked the interest rates this morning for Wells Fargo for their 30-year fixed good credit. Interest rate was at 4.875, which is a good interest rate, with an APR, so that was the note rate, and the APR of 5.063%. And if you're looking for a jumbo loan, those numbers are even lower. And if you're looking at like a 7-year ARM, those numbers are even lower than that. So interest rates are a lot lower than what we've been experiencing, and I think a lot of in the last few months, a couple of months, and I think buyers have realized that, kind of figured that out. And the other thing that a lot of buyers and buyers agents have figured out is that in this market, you can actually get your sellers to pay for a rate buy down. So instead of doing a price reduction of maybe $20,000, sellers are taking maybe $10,000, contributing that towards buyers' closing costs and buying buyers' interest rates down, which feels a lot more palatable and comfortable to a lot of buyers. And some buyers have figured that out, that they can go into an offer situation, not competing. They get the sellers to contribute, a couple like 10,000, maybe plus or minus, towards their closing costs, buy down their interest rate, and get a lower APR in the end. So I think a lot of folks are figuring that out, and I suspect that the buyer demand is going to continue to just kind of chug along over the next few weeks. And of course, we will keep an eye on that and let you know if that's the case or if something changes. So as always, all real estate is local. If you're curious about what's going on in your neck of the woods, reach out to me. I'm always happy to share anything that I can find out or what I know. And then if you find this content helpful or interesting, please give us a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe and share this video with anyone you think might have use of it. And we will see you next week from Portland.